Good evening, everyone. We are back to the Medium's book. We are on starting chapter 4 today, which is the explanation of the physical manifestations. We talked last week about the intelligent manifestations, and we're going to discuss here, Kardec is going to discuss movements and suspensions, noises, increase and decrease in the weight of objects. It's a interesting chapter where there is a lot of questions and answers to the spirits. We have to remember that we are in the beginning of understanding mediumship and understanding how it works. We have to first, we just found that behind the communications, the table turnings, what we have are spirits, and how do these spirits, the question now that he starts to analyze is how do these spirits make this phenomena happen? And this is what he's going to discuss in this chapter a little bit to understand better how it all works, okay? So, Zoraida, you start reading for us. You read 72 and 73.
Okay. Movements and suspensions, noises. Having used both reasoning and phenomenon to demonstrate the existence of spirits, along with the possibility of their being able to act upon matter, we must now determine how their actions are produced and how they operate in order to move tables and other inert objects. One idea that naturally occurred is the one that we held to for a while. However, the spirit contested it and provided us with a completely
completely different explanation. It hasn't turned the page for you?
Yeah, it hasn't turned. Okay, complete. And the sound goes off too. So
okay.
Okay, different.
Okay.
Okay. One we did not anticipate at all. Moreover, it is obvious that their explanation did not originate with us. Our original idea could have quite possibly been held by others as well. As for the spirit's explanation, we do not believe that it could have ever occurred to anyone else. It is certainly easy to see how much more superior it is than our own, although it is also simpler because it offers a solution to numerous other incidents that had no satisfactory explanation.
So
knowledge of
here
the nature of spirits.
Here okay. Kardec is just saying that he had a theory and the spirits told him that his theory was wrong and they presented a completely different theory, but he didn't say what it is, so there is not much to say here. That's why I asked you to read 73 also.
Okay. Knowledge of nature of spirits, their human form, the semi-material properties of their perispirit, the mechanical action they can exert upon matter, and the occurrence of apparitions of fluidic and even tangible hands that can lift objects and carry them, naturally led to our belief that a spirit simply used its hands in order to turn a table and that it lifted it by using its arms. But if that was so, then what was the need for mediums? Couldn't the spirit act by itself? Since mediums often rested their hands upon the table in a position contrary to its movement, or did not even place their hands upon it at all, they obviously could not aid the spirit with any muscular movement. Let us first see what the spirits whom
we asked had to say about the matter.
Okay, it's not moving as fast as I'm looking at it.
Okay, so so here we find out what Kardec wanted to say on the first part, that his first theory was that the movement was done by the spirits themselves. You know how we see ghost movies and the ghosts are the ones moving the objects,
Yeah.
carrying the table and pushing people around. That's how Kardec thought that it happened. But then, being rational, being as he was, he said, "But if that were so, then why would we need mediums, right? If the spirits could move the tables themselves, why would we need mediums? What are the mediums doing there?" Because what mediums were doing is resting their hands upon the table, and the table will move in accordance to their movement, or sometimes contrary to their movement. Sometimes they didn't put the hands at all in the table. So he's saying, definitely my theory is not the right one. So let's ask the spirits so they can explain to us what's going on there, right? So that's where we start. And the answers, again, were given by the spirit St. Louis. We spoke about him last week in the study of the Spirits book. We know that Louis IX, the King of France, that is the spiritual guide of France, the country, and who was the coordinator on the spiritual world on the codification of Spiritism and Kardec's guide on it. So he's the one that gave the answers that were later confirmed by other spirits. Okay.
Okay. 74. The following responses were given by the Spirit St. Louis and were later confirmed by others. 1. Is a universal fluid an emanation of the divinity? No. 2. Is it a creation of the divinity? Everything has been created except God. 3. Is a universal fluid the universal element itself? Yes, it is the elementary principle of all things. 4. Does it have any relation to the electric fluid whose effects we are familiar with? It is its element.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is the universal fluid an emanation of the divinity?
Okay.
If we remember what we have as a whole, you have God, the spiritual principle or the spirits, and universal fluid or cosmic fluid. Everything originating from God, but the universal fluid is not an emanation of the divinity, it's a creation of the divinity, right? So that's very interesting, the difference here. God does not emanate the universal fluid. God created the universal fluid. Everything has been created except God. So God is the origin and cause of everything, as we learned from question 1. And so God creates all spirits on the spiritual side and universal fluid that produces everything else that exists in the universe. Matter is a subproduct of the universal fluid and everything else. So the universal fluid is the universal element itself. Yes, the elementary principle of all things material. And remember that at that time, fluid had a definition that was a little bit different from what we have today. We use fluid today for different things. When we talk about fluid nowadays, and that fluid, that at that time was a more ample usage of everything that came from this universal fluid. Nowadays, we talk about fluid, we think about liquids, and we think about gases that we use, for instance, to light a fire. And fluids in the spiritist sense at the time of Kardec is a much more ample definition. So he talks here about the electric fluid, And the answer is, it is its element, right? Okay. Any questions here so far? I didn't stop for questions because I thought there was, until here it made sense not to stop. But now, if anyone has any question, let me know. Otherwise, we continue.
Okay. Okay. 5. How is the universal fluid displayed to us in its simplest form? To find it in its absolute simplest form, one would have to ascend toward the pure spirits. In your world, however, it is always modified to varying degrees in order to form the dense matter all around you. Nevertheless, you could say that it is closest to its simplest form in the fluid known as a magnetic animalized fluid.
Okay.
It
so,
has, okay.
So the question from Kardec here, it's very interesting because he wants to understand the universal fluid at its origin, which is the simplest form. And the spirits tell him, well, for you to understand, to find it in its absolute simplest form, you have to become a perfect spirit, a pure spirit. So that's the end of the discussion. But if you want to find it in your world, the simplest form is what they call magnetic animalized fluid, which is the fluid that makes human beings live, the vital fluid, let's say. Okay?
Okay. Continue?
Yes.
6. Okay. It has been stated that the universal fluid is the source of all life. Is it at the same time the source of all intelligence? No. This particular fluid merely animates matter.
Okay. Let's understand here.
7. Since it is
Just
this fluid that forms the perispirit, it seems that it...
Hello?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we talk about the source of all life, the fluid, the universal fluid, animates matter through the vital fluid, right? But it is not the source of intelligence. What's the source of intelligence? It's the spirit, right? So it doesn't belong to that box that we call universal fluid. So we have God, you have spirits, and you have universal fluid. From the universal fluid, the vital fluid or the magnetic animalized fluid emanates, and from it animates matter. So how does a plant lives? A plant lives through the vital fluid that comes from the universal fluid. The intelligence of a spirit does not come from the universal fluid. It comes from the spiritual side of the creation. Okay? It's a very important concept to understand here as we start studying mediumship. Okay?
Okay. 7. Since it is this fluid that forms the perispirit, it seems that it undergoes a kind of condensation, which to a certain point approaches matter per se. As you say, to a certain point, because it does not possess all properties of matter per se, and its condensation is greater or lesser. Okay. It's not moving.
According to the nature of the various worlds. So when we talk here, Kardec starts to become interested in the perispirit, right? So when we talk about the perispirit, we know that the perispirit is matter, right? It's not physical matter, but it's matter. It's matter in the spiritual world. So it comes from the universal fluid. Everything that is matter comes from the universal fluid. Now, the Kardec asks, well, it seems that undergoes a kind of condensation. Because how does the perispirit is formed from the universal fluid? And Kardec says it really approaches matter per se, and matter here is talking about matter that forms the physical body, the physical matter. And the Spirit says that as you say, to a certain point, because it does not possess all the properties of matter per se, and its condensation is greater or less, we're talking about the perispirit, according to the nature of the various worlds. We know that the perispirit is something that every spirit carries with it through the different incarnations. But if we change worlds, the outmost layers of the perispirit belongs to the world we are incarnating, we are living in. So when we go back to the spiritual world, when we die, our physical body dies, part of the perispirit, what we call the double etheric, stays and does not go back to the spiritual world with us because it belongs to the physical planet, to the physical matter of the planet. Okay? Was that clear? Because it's sometimes it can be a little bit confusing this. So just want to make sure everybody understood the concept here.
Okay. Okay, number 8. How does a spirit move a solid object? It combines a portion of the universal fluid with the fluid emitted by the medium in order to move it.
Okay. So now we're getting to where he wanted to get from the beginning, right? How does a spirit moves a solid object? So the spirit, the answer is the spirit combines a portion of the universal fluid, which is the intention of the spirit, with the fluid emitted by the medium, which here we don't, he doesn't use it yet, but we know this, the ectoplasm, that in order to move it. Okay. So it's not the medium, only fluids emitted by the medium. It's a combination, but the will to move the table comes from the spirit. So this will from the spirit is what originates the fluid from the portion of the fluid that will come from the spiritual world that will combine with the ectoplasm, which is the fluid emitted by the medium, and that will make the table move. Okay?
Okay. Number 9. Do spirits lift tables using their arms, which have become solidified somehow? The answer to that question will not yet tell you what you want to know. When a table moves underneath your hands, it is because the spirit who has been evoked has taken enough of the universal fluid to infuse the table with artificial life. Having prepared the table in this way, the spirit attracts it and moves it under the influence of its own fluid, which it emits by exerting its own will. When the object that it wants to move is too heavy for it, it asks for the help of other spirits who possess similar characteristics. Because of its ethereal nature, the spirit in and of itself cannot act upon dense matter without some kind of intermediary, that is, without the link that connects it to matter. This link is what you call the perispirit, and it provides the key to all physical spirit phenomena. I believe I have explained the matter clearly enough to have made myself understood. We would call attention to the sentence. The answer to that question will not yet tell you what you want to know. This spirit understood perfectly well that all the preceding questions had the sole purpose of leading up to question 9. He was referring to our thought, wherein we had in fact anticipated a different response, that is, one that would confirm our own idea about the way spirits move tables.
So here Kardec finally comes to the question the way he was thinking. He was thinking that spirits lift tables using their own arms or hands that have become solidified somehow. And the answer from the spirits is, we will not tell you yet what you want to hear. When a table moves, it's because the spirit has used his fluid through his thought and his intention to move the table, combines with the ectoplasm of a medium present, knowingly or unknowingly to the medium, and we'll see this later, and uses that combination of its will with the ectoplasm of the medium to move the table. And if the object is too heavy, it can use the assistance of other spirits who possess similar characteristics. But it's very important here, the idea that because of its ethereal nature, the spirit cannot move it act upon matter without some kind of intermediary. And here he's talking about the perispirit. He's not talking about the incarnated medium. He's talking for the spirit to act on matter, it needs an intermediary. And that intermediary is the spiritual body or the perispirit. Okay? Any questions here? Everybody's very quiet, so clear?
No,
or
okay,
nobody's
no.
understanding anything?
No, the spirit uses the perispirit of whom?
Its own.
Its own. Oh, okay. So when, but prior, going back to the other question, when someone dies, the body itself physically dies, but he goes back into the spirit world with the perispirit.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
And the perispirit belongs to the spirit for eternity, but it's very malleable and changes.
Okay.
As we evolve, it becomes more and more ethereal.
Ethereal. Okay, yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
we'll see a little bit why I just said that. We'll see in a little while why I mentioned that.
Okay. Number 10.
Hey, João.
One question.
Yes,
one question
yes.
before.
Okay.
Okay, when it says that, I wrote it down here. It's because the spirit who has been evoked has taken enough of the fluid to infuse the table with artificial life. Can you explain that? A table with artificial life?
So for a table to move, it is said that a table is alive, but it's not really alive. It's artificial life. So how does the beginning of the table, turning tables and the spiritist phenomena were tables moving by itself. And Kardec said, unless a table has a brain behind it, can think and can act on its own will, I don't believe that a table will move without an intelligent action behind it. So when he talks here about artificial life, meaning a table starts to move, this table is alive, yes? Well, artificially meaning by the will of the spirit that is making it move, okay?
By infusion of a fluid of the spirit evoked.
Yes, combined with the fluid of the medium.
Combined with the fluid of the medium, yes. Yeah.
Yes, Renato.
Now I get it.
So on those meetings, I assume that those moving tables and everything happen under the guidance of more evolved spirits. They use less evolved spirits that their perispirits are more in tune with the matter, so they can do all that, but they are guided by more elevated spirit, let's put that way.
Yes.
So in cases where that does not happen, that, you know, because we see like hunting houses and that kind of stuff, those spirits that move objects or throw things at people, whatever, they're not like morally evolved. So
No.
how can they also manipulate matter without the guidance of because a more moral evolved spirit would not just play with things. So how do they
No.
do that? And, yeah, go ahead.
Yes. There's a second part.
No, go ahead. Just answer that first, then I show the second one.
I remember the movie Ghost,
Yes, I do.
the guy kicking the can at the subway station, the spirit.
Yeah. Yep.
There was no superior spirit, more evolved spirit there. He learned how to do it by himself. That's how spirits that are haunting houses and things like that, they are much more materialized than more evolved spirits, and they're much more connected to physical world than spiritual world. So once they learn, and that goes back to the knowledge part that we discussed in previous class, they can act on matter. They know how to. Sometimes they don't even know what they are doing exactly, but they learn how to do it, and they can act. When we're talking here about more evolved spirits taking care of less evolved spirits, we're talking about phenomena that were being done for a reason that was to call the attention of humanity for a phenomena that they would use later to educate humanity about our spiritual nature. So they were using for a purpose, but you don't really need a more evolved spirit commanding less evolved spirits to have physical phenomena. When you had the haunting houses, you just have spirits that are stuck there for some reason, don't want anyone else to live there, or just want to scare for fun. They don't need more evolved spirits, and actually more evolved spirits are not present at all. They just learn to manipulate physical matter, and they use their ability to manipulate physical matter to do what they want. Okay.
So I think everyone already experienced things that disappear in your house and then appear out in thin air. So does that also follows on this category of spirits playing with you?
Yes. Yeah.
And since this kind of phenomena, moving things, are very visual, and some people they become terrified about that, and we study that the lower spirits are trying to mess with the work of the good work that is done in different places. And since you already explained that they can manipulate by themselves without a high order spirits around, why do you think this kind of phenomena are now more often seen nowadays?
I don't think it's more often seen nowadays.
No, that these
I'm not seeing more.
Yeah, not seen.
I think it still happens. You have haunted houses all over, and you have you have what you don't have is this turning tables as you had in the beginning of spiritualism, because that was when everybody, if everybody starts searching for it again and going after this phenomena, the phenomena will happen because there will be spirits that will be willing to participate. But if nobody's looking for it, not many spirits will do it, because they also have other things to do. They have other ways of causing disturbances. The physical phenomena, you have to know how to do it. A lot of spirits don't know. You have to have an intention behind it, and some spirits, don't you agree that a spirit whispering in the ear of someone some crazy ideas is more efficient than making noises and scaring the person?
Yep.
Yeah, so most spirits will use that, right? Instead of the spirits that are causing the physical phenomenon are either the ones that want to have fun with us, or they want to scare people out of the places they are and they think belong to them for some reason. Or, you know, things that disappear in your house and appear, these are just mocking spirits having fun with us. That, you know, it's just like we do pranks. There are a lot of people do pranks there. Spirits doing pranks. You know, doesn't require much of an effort for them to cover an object from our physical eyes, and then the object is, they never moved the object. It was always there, we couldn't see.
Okay, and the last thing is just out of curiosity, the manipulation of the fluids, because I remember you show a picture once a long time ago that, you know, this fluid is kind of, you know, it pretty much involve all the table, the object, for a certain period of time, and then, you know, the spirit can choose to show hands or whatever, or just with the bare mind move the object itself. So that manipulation and to, you know, shape the fluid around the object itself is done. Is all a thought processes, or how does it work that in order to have the objects, you know?
It's a thought process in the sense that it originates from the thought. But depending on the knowledge of the spirit, it can be a physical act in a sense, or a less physical act. If the spirit knows that it can move without making much of movements themselves, they will do it. But some spirits will actually do a little bit of a work, in a sense, physical. Well, it's not physical because it's not in the spiritual world, but well, you know what I mean, right? They'll act more, you know. They'll be moving around the fluid themselves, in a sense. They're not lifting the table with their hands, but they are spreading the fluids around the table themselves, in a sense, not really with a thought, if they don't know better.
Even when they collect that fluid from the medium, they were doing like movements. And
yeah, it's a combination of their own fluid and the fluid of the medium, right? So yes, they'll make movements of surrounding the object.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Number 10. Are the spirits whom it calls upon to help of a less evolved nature, are they under its orders? They are almost always its equals and come spontaneously. Are all spirits able to produce phenomena of this kind? The spirits who produce them are always of a less evolved nature that is not yet entirely free of material influences.
So we spoke a little bit about this when I was answering Renato's question, right? Spirits that are more related to physical manifestations are less evolved, of a less evolved nature. Less evolved nature meaning they are still more material than spiritual, in a sense. And the question is, when they call others to help them, they are equals, right? When we are moving objects working on moving things from one apartment to other, they are all people that can carry load and can carry things from one way to another. They're not. There is one boss that tells them what to do and doesn't do much, or sometimes works together with them, and that they are all more or less the same, right? And again, it's the spirits of a less evolved nature. that are not entirely free of material influences, in a sense that they still have some connections with the physical world.
Hey, João, just a thought crossed my mind. What happened with the fluids when the phenomena ends? Because there's two different fluids, one from the medium, one from the I forgot the name, the cosmic one. The cosmic one, I would assume that goes back where it wasn't, and that from the medium,
it's dispersed in the environment. It is just dispersed back to the universal fluid. You know, it's they are concentrated to produce the phenomena and dispersed when no longer the phenomena exists or is needed.
Thanks.
Nothing is, you know, that goes back to Einstein theory. Nothing is lost, everything is transformed. So it's just transformed and goes back to nature or to the universal fluid.
Okay, 12. We can understand that highly evolved spirits do not concern themselves with matters that are well below them, but we would like to know if they would have the ability to do so if they wanted to, since they are more dematerialized. They possess mental power as the others possess physical power. When they have need of the latter, they employ those who have it. Haven't we already stated that they use lower order spirits in the same way that you employ porters? We have already stated that the density of the perispirit, if one may say so, varies according to the nature of its various worlds. It also seems to vary on the same world according to different individuals. In morally advanced spirits, it is subtler and comes close to the perispirit of high order entities. On the other hand, in low order spirits, it is closer to matter. And this is what causes the persistence of the illusions of earthly life in such spirits who think and act as if they were still physically alive. Okay. Is that moving?
I turned already.
It's not. Oh, you already ready?
Was that? Yeah, possessing the same desires, and we could almost say the same sensuality. This density of the perispirit, which lends it a greater affinity to matter, is what enables low order spirits to be more skillful at physical manifestations. You got now?
Okay. It is similar to why a refined person with a fragile and delicate body and who is used to intellectual endeavors cannot lift heavy loads like a porter can. The matter of his or her body is somewhat less compact. The organs are less resilient and the neutral fluid is less intense. The perispirit is for the spirit what the body is for the individual. Its density results from the less purified nature of the spirit. Hence, this density replaces muscular strength. That is, it gives it greater power over the fluids needed for this type of manifestation that a spirit of a more ethereal nature possesses. If a more evolved spirit wants to produce such effects, it does what frail persons among us would do. It employs a spirit of the trait.
Okay, so the more we evolve, the more ethereal becomes our perispirit. The more ethereal becomes our perispirit, the more difficult it is for us to interact with physical matter. Okay, so remember when we said that Jesus, a perfect spirit, they say it took him 1,000 years for his perispirit to be prepared and ready to incarnate on earth, because it is so ethereal that in order to acquire the density needed to have an incarnation, not a reincarnation, because Jesus doesn't need to reincarnate. An incarnation, it needed 1,000 years to prepare itself. So again, if a spirit can use less evolved spirits to do their work, they will do it. So, and why do these less evolved spirits would agree with doing the work of more evolved spirits? Well, the same way that you know, you here on Earth, we work for those that are superior to us in a sense. You know, you go to places that you have more evolved spirits than you are, and you are happy to help and assist them because it's an opportunity to learn and to evolve. So these less evolved spirits that have the desire to learn and to improve and the desire to work with more evolved spirits will be happy to work with more evolved spirits in this physical phenomena. So they are closer to matter, so it's easier to them to act upon physical matter. Okay, it's and again, it's important to understand that even among spirits that are here on Earth, surrounding Earth, spirits that are in Osular, let's say, you have different density of perispirits. You still have spirits that are more physical bound, more connected to matter of the physical world than spirits that are already more spiritual themselves, that are less materialized in a sense. So they will use spirits that will be easier for them to do this type of work. Okay. It's very simple, actually. It's not very complicated. It's just logic. Okay.
Okay. 13. If we correctly understand what you have said, the vital principle lies in the universal fluid. The spirit draws a semi-material envelope that comprises its perispirit from this fluid, and it is through this fluid that it acts upon inert matter. Is this so? Yes. It means that it animates with a sort of artificial life. Matter becomes infused with animal life. The table that moves under your hands is alive with animal-like life and obeys the intelligent being itself. The spirit itself does not push the table as if it was some kind of physical load. And when the table rises into the air, the spirit is not lifting it with its arms. Instead, the animated table obeys the impulse given to it by the spirit.
Okay.
Continue.
So when we talk here about the vital principle, which is the principle that animates matter, okay, that is present and exists in all animated matter, from plants to animals to humans, all have vital principle. So the spirit draws the semi-material envelope that comprises its perispirit from this fluid. It has its perispirit. And through this fluid, that it acts upon inert matter. Is that so? And the spirit said, yes. It animates matter with a sort of artificial life. That's what I was explaining to Renato, or to Paco, actually. So the artificial life, meaning the table will have a temporary life as if it was animated by vital fluid, and will perform or move under the command of the spirit, obeying the intelligent being. But it's not that the spirit, him or herself, is pushing the table. It's not a physical load. It's the spirit obeying the impulse given to it by the spirit through its thought. Okay, a little bit confusing, but not really, if you think about it. Let's, just reflect on it and see if it's clear.
Okay. 14. What role does the medium play in this phenomenon? I have already said the medium's own fluid is combined with universal fluid accumulated by the spirit. The uniting of both the animalized and universal fluids is required in order to endow the table with life. However, you must not forget that this life is only momentary. It stops with the cessation of fluid's action and often before the process is fully completed. As soon as the amount of fluids is no longer sufficient to animate the table.
Okay, so
Okay.
so let's bring the medium to the equation now. What does the role the medium plays in it, right? Because we discussed a lot how the spirit produces the phenomena, what type of spirit, how the spirit, more evolved spirit, less evolved spirit, the fluid that the spirit uses, and everything else. But what we know that for the spirit to act, it needs a medium. Without a medium, the spirit cannot act on an object, on a physical object. So what role does the medium play? So the medium's fluid, which is the ectoplasm, is combined with the fluid that the spirit brings and uniting both the animalized, meaning the vital fluid of the spirit or ectoplasm, and the universal fluid is required in order to make the table have life. But this is only momentary. That's very important also. It stops with the cessation of the fluid's action. What does it mean? Well, the ectoplasm produced by the medium is limited. It's not endless. So once the ectoplasm ceases to have the strength to produce the phenomena stops, as the amount of fluids is no longer sufficient to animate the table. Anna.
Hi, João. Hi, everybody. A couple of points that I'm just scratching my head here. So now it's clear to me that you definitely need the medium for whatever manifestation. And it's interesting because you often raise the example of the movie, the Ghost. Right?
Yeah.
But there, and in many movies actually, you get the impression that people are doing things with their mind. So they're moving objects with their mind as if you could just control your mind and do extraordinary things. But here it's clear it depends on the fluid of the medium. But the other comment that you pose, and you also think it's very logical, but to me it's still a bit confusing. It's you raise the example of the boss. Your boss. My boss can ask me to do things, but it's not like he can't do it. He can do it. He just prefers somebody else to do it. So I'm still struggling with this idea that a more evolved spirit is not able to do something. It depends on a less evolved spirit. I've heard it many times, especially this one about, Jesus taking 1,000 years to get to the level where he could come back. But it's very difficult to understand. You expect that the more evolved you are, the more able you will be to do things. So I'm not sure it's that logic. I'm confused to understand this.
No, but
what
you
had to do to come to regress? When you're saying it took him 1,000 years to be able to come back, he had to regress. What exactly did he have to do?
No. Okay, so let's separate things. You are absolutely right. The more evolved spirits can do it by themselves. But it requires a lot of effort and a lot of work that they don't really need to do because they can use less evolved spirits. Okay, so yes, you are right. They can do it. As you evolve and you learn and you acquire knowledge, the knowledge enables you to do it. So they can act themselves over matter, physical matter, if they want to. But the utilization of less evolved spirits is a twofold thing. It's easier for less evolved spirits to act upon physical matter because they are they're closer to it. More evolved spirits have to make more of an effort, and we don't really understand this completely, but that's what they say.
Mhm.
And it's an opportunity for less evolved spirits to learn and to evolve and to help and assist, to evolve through assisting. Okay, so when your boss asks you to do something, it's an opportunity for you to do and to improve the quality of your services and then your status in the place, right? And sometimes we're not going to compare bosses with superior spirits because it's different. Sometimes bosses are just lazy, but and superior spirits are not. But in a sense, you can think of it a boss that is a true a real boss that wants to help and make everybody grow will delegate for others to have an opportunity to learn and grow. So that's the theory behind the spirits using less evolved spirits to act, to do this phenomena for them. But yes, it's more difficult for them, but not impossible. Yes. The other thing that you said before that I was going to comment was, on the movies. So let's go back to the movie Ghost when he kicks the can there by himself, right? The spirit. He uses his will to kick the can. He's using the ectoplasm of some medium that is around there that has no idea that is being used. Because if there is no medium around there, there's no ectoplasm around there, or it really doesn't need to be immediately close to him, but in the region, he uses the ectoplasm of a medium in the region to perform the phenomena. Otherwise, he couldn't do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Was clear everything? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Say happy birthday to your mom.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, João, I think this is the
Yes.
same like the mediumship meeting, right? They don't need us.
Yes, but they help us. They use us to help us grow, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay, 15. Can a spirit act without resorting to a medium? It can act without the medium being aware of it. In other words, many persons help spirits to produce certain phenomena without even suspecting it. These persons are like fountains from which spirits draw the animal fluid they need. Consequently, the conscious participation of a medium, as you know, is not always necessary, especially with spontaneous phenomena.
Yeah, this is what I just mentioned, that answering Anna's question, right? So the medium can participate without being aware of it, sometimes without even know that it's a medium, because not everybody that is a medium is aware that they are a medium. They see some phenomena happening around them and they have no idea why it's happening. So a lot of mediums don't know they're mediums, and then they are used by the spirits to produce this phenomenon, especially the spontaneous phenomena, as they say here, which is, the raps and things like that. Yes, Dani.
So is this any medium, or it has to be a medium with extra ectoplasm or more fluid given, or?
Yeah, the medium that has, all of us produce ectoplasm, right? It's a byproduct of Elmo explained, right? Of the DNA of forgot. But mediums of physical phenomena are the ones that produce ectoplasm in a greater quantity, and these are the ones that are used, right? But in a sense, if a medium is able to produce some ectoplasm, excess of ectoplasm, it doesn't need to be much for small physical phenomena. So to kick a can like the guy in the movie, you don't really need a medium that produces tons of ectoplasmas that you need for a materialization or for moving, raising a table. You just need a little bit of ectoplasm. So that is probably something that many more people have it than we actually are aware of it. Yes.
But there are people who are not mediums, but have a lot of ectoplasm as well. Like, for example, some people who give passes and then they have, so it's not ectoplasm, they have this healing energy, but they're not mediums.
Yeah, but this is not ectoplasm. This is energies.
No, okay.
These are different energies. Yes. That are vital fluid, part of the vital fluid, but it's not ectoplasm.
Oh, since you mentioned energy and passes, can a medium or a well-trained medium or whatever sense that quote-unquote drain of ectoplasma when it's happening?
Yes, yes, yes. If a medium knows and understands the process, it will feel drained if it's a lot of ectoplasm is removed from him or her. So what happens sometimes, and we hear these stories, especially when you read the story of Eusapia Palladino, the famous Italian medium in the beginning of the 20th century, that produced several incredible phenomena. At a certain point, she became so tired and so exhausted of being prodded and used in all forms that she started faking the phenomena. Because she was exhausted of giving ectoplasm. And the replenish ectoplasm, again, it's also something that, if the medium doesn't know how to, it will end up in replenishing it through alcohol, through excess eating or excess sex.
Okay.
Yeah.
16. Does the animated table act with intelligence? Does it think? The object itself does not think. It is like a walking stick that you might use to make an intelligent signal to someone. The vitality that animates it enables it to obey the impulse of the intelligence behind it. You should realize that the moving table does not become a spirit, and it has neither thought nor will. We frequently use a similar expression in everyday language. Concerning a wheel that is spinning rapidly, we say that it is animated by a rapid movement. Yes.
Yeah.
What is
here, we have to understand that these questions were, Kardec produced the Medium's book. It was published in 1861, but he has some annotations that come with him and questions that came with him since the beginning of Spiritism. So he was using some of these ideas already in the Spiritist Review, and was using already in the discussions that he was having with the spirits. So this question, it's probably one of the first questions that he asked the spirits: if an animated table acts with intelligence. And his reason told him, of course not, but he had to ask the question anyway. And the spirits are very clear. Of course, the object itself does not think. And they use the example of a walking stick, right? You can move the stick around, doesn't mean that the stick thinks. You can do a signal with a stick, but there's, you are the intelligence behind it. The stick is obeying to your actions. So that's exactly
very good analogy. Very good analogy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, 17. What is the preponderant cause in the production of this phenomenon? The spirit itself or the fluid? The spirit is the cause and the fluid is its instrument. Both are required.
So again, the phenomena, which is the moving of the table. What is the preponderant cause? Well, the will of the spirit is the cause, and the fluid is the instrument used, because the spirit, without just thinking but without the fluid, couldn't make the table move. So both are required, but the fluid itself doesn't think, so it cannot act on itself, and the spirit without the fluid cannot make the table move. Then we go back to the medium.
Okay.
Go ahead.
18 then? Okay. In this case, what role does the medium's will play? To call upon the spirits and to aid them in giving impulse to this fluid. Is the medium's will always indispensable? It increases the potency, but it's not always necessary, since a movement may occur in spite of or contrary to the medium's will. Further proof for the existence of an independent cause. It is not always even necessary for the hands to come in contact with the object in order for it to move. Almost always, all that they are needed for is to provide the initial impulse. But after the object has been animated, it can obey the will without any physical contact. Of course, this depends on the power of the medium or the nature of the spirits involved. Moreover, even the first contact is not always needed. We have proof of this in the spontaneous movements and the dislocations that no one can even thought about causing.
Okay, so on this phenomena, what's the role that a medium will play? So here there are two roles. The medium can be an active participant in the phenomena if it's using their will also. They are in the session working to the phenomena, for the phenomena to occur. So the medium's will is part of the process, or the medium can be an involuntary participant in the process. It cannot even be willing to participate, and the spirit would be using the medium's ectoplasm to produce the phenomena anyway, which is, as the spirit says here, is the proof of existence of an independent cause from the medium. What they're saying here is it doesn't need the medium's will necessarily. If it exists, it will help the phenomena, but it doesn't really need to happen. And then Kardec complements saying that it's not even necessary for the hands to come in contact for the object for it to move. Because in the beginning, you remember that the mediums will sit around the table, put their hands on the table, and then the table move. And what they're saying here is that that is not even necessary. What is needed? Sometimes they need to provide the initial impulse, but then the object moves by itself without any physical contact. But this all depends on the power of the medium or the nature of the spirits involved. And sometimes not even the first contact is needed, because we see these spontaneous movements and dislocations that happened without anyone causing it to happen, apparently, right? Okay, we're going to stop here. I think we still have some questions to go. Yeah, but it's 8:40, so we're going to stop here if anyone has any additional questions. No, Anton, the study is 1 hour from when we started. Oh yeah, we started at 8:35, you're right. So should have finished 5 minutes ago, my mistake. Normally we start at 7:40, that's why I went to 8:40, but yeah, it's 1 hour, the second part, okay? So Carol, you do our final prayer.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, John. Infinite Creator, First Cause, we are grateful to be together this evening to have a better understanding of physical phenomenon, physical manifestations, that which we have studied in the medium's book. We are grateful to the spiritual benefactors, the good spirits, the protector spirits who are here with us, guiding us, inspiring us to have a better understanding of how these principles work and how they operate, and what is required either from the spirit world or by the mediums. We are grateful to have the details so illustriously provided by Allan Kardec. We are truly grateful for the words and the explanations, giving us greater understanding. And we ask throughout the week that we continue with our prayers, with our studies, with our mindfulness. May we continue to present ourselves as a high vibration in this world, adding good merit, adding good voice, adding goodness to the world around us. We know that many are suffering right now in the physical world as well as the spiritual world. May we do our part. May we be of assistance as we are able to do so each day. And we humbly ask now for safety and protection for ourselves, our family, our loved ones, our friends, and those who are our co-workers. We know that we have many blessings that we can share, and may we do so through discernment, through our heart. May we receive the love and light of Christ to inspire us and also to protect us. We close now and humbly ask for peace, inner strength, courage, and a movement toward a greater enlightenment. We humbly ask now that we close to receive these blessings, blessings of peace, understanding, strength, and goodwill. We ask to go forth now as beacons of light. Go forth now in peace. So be it.